Holy shit. I've been talking to myself this entire time until JC said I was late. I started streaming at 12:29. Thank you, a user, for becoming a Dillionaire. Hit me up on the Dillionaires Country Club, or on the Discord, and I'll get you added to the Dillionaires Country Club afterwards. Jesus Christ. No, I was just in here talking to myself, and I didn't hit go live on YouTube. Yeah, literally talking to the fucking voices in my head. Okay, so back to the questions. Cushion theory, not what's affecting GameStop. What was the other one that I answered to myself? Did they cover? Definitely not. There's evidence that they haven't covered, like, quite a lot of it. RC Pillow tweets are irrelevant. The stock will go up Monday because of gamma exposure. No, still super sick, but I drank like a bottle of Dayquil before this. Craziest time rolling in pigeon whale money. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so I've just been here talking to myself. I even fixed Epic Pen at one point. Like, look, Epic Pen's actually working. So, like, that's how long I've been talking to myself. I've already realized the Epic Pen doesn't work for the day and fixed it. Today's a self-conducted class. No, we're not going to learn the vote count. They're not going to release that. They have no obligation to release it. I don't think they will. Even if they did, it's very unlikely that everyone voted. It's also really unlikely that anybody with borrowed shares voted. That's all right. I'll be better, hopefully, by Monday. What do you think about BBIG? I didn't really do too much digging into it. I'd hopped on Fintel, and it has similar shorts but different longs. Hey, Han. This is an epically rocking beginning to the hot tub stream. Like when the news says, now return to your regularly scheduled programming. Secure ape for honorary pigeon whale. I don't know how to do that. The problem I've had with Secure is I can't make him like a member on YouTube. It won't let me. Like, you can't give away YouTube memberships, which is bullshit because I would give them away all the time. It would be fun. So we're gonna look into BBIG. Well, let's see if we can find. This stock hasn't been around very long. This does not have a similar shorting strategy that was occurring on Spurt and GameStop. So that's something to consider at least. Maybe if we watch the weekly, it's a little more obvious. This is just entering the market. Yeah, I don't think it's similarly short. Like, it doesn't seem to have a lot of synthetic shorting occurring. There's short, like it's got short interest, but I don't think it's a relevant amount. Dude, it's worth selling leaps and buying back in after earnings. I'll probably just keep them through earnings. I bought out all my hundreds and my 20s, so I already exercised all of those. So all I have left now are 40 and 60 strike. I think I have like a couple 65s also. So I would probably just hold those because I rolled those out already, so not that long ago. Thanks, Carl. Yeah, I'm still sick, but I'll see you later, man. The VOD will be up on the community tab when it's over. If you want to watch it later, man. Would you please look at FFIN? Massive bull flag on the monthly, wedge on the daily, volume coming, 20 MA just crossed above the 50. Okay, that's not a relevant crossover signal. But I'll look at it. First Financial. What do these guys do? Subsidiaries connects commercial banking business. Okay. Sending wedge. Let's take a look here. Well, volumes was shit on Friday. Sub 1 million. It could be a while before you see some relevant movement from this. What was there good news of some sort? Or just I'm gonna check the moving averages, but I guarantee they don't look super great. I mean, there was a golden cross back here in September of last year, and it's pretty much just run up ever since. Check the EMA. EMA looks fine. Just bounced. It's approaching like a bullish crossover, so it's gonna bounce. It looks like it's gonna bounce on this like long-term trend here. And then like there's like a possibility for a test here at like 40, like a 50, a test at the $50 resistance. But that's not a lot of range, right? Even if it does break out, like there's resistance here at 50. There's more resistance here at like 51. And that's like its all-time high is at 52.50. So there's not a lot of range on this. For like a long-term investment, it looks like its long-term growth is pretty good. Like they're doing well over the last like 3 quarters, 4 quarters. But they have like started to stagnate a bit. And this looks a little white coffee. Like it could break down. If they continue to experience this rate of growth, though, they'll do very well. Without digging too much into their financials and stuff, but like their profit per earnings looks solid, decent EPS. They have a dividend if that's something you're into. Decently small float. I hope that helps long dancing. Are you using TD Ameritrade? No, WeBull. If you guys want to use WeBull for charting, it's down in the link below. There's also TradingView, which is free as well. We break out the gel pens, but do you have like a black spiral bound notebook? BBIG has lower insider. It's definitely not the same play as Spurt. Spurt was a perfect candidate for a short squeeze. BBIG, from what I've looked at, doesn't look like it might squeeze a little. There is some short interest on it, but it's definitely not going to squeeze as hard as Spurt did. For November 19th, I was assuming it would not gain value until the underlying is 800, but it gained about $20 so far. How? Why? It went up because of implied volatility. So we experienced some IV crush this week because we went up so hard on Tuesday, traded flat into the end of the week, dropping volatility off. So like I have several calls on GameStop right now that are in the red because the IV dropped off. But when we move again, the IV on these will pick back up, and they will be worth like a positive amount of money before they're actually in the money. Most short accounts are trying to hype it after a 7-month old. Same with Ader. Yeah. Sometimes those plays are good, sometimes they're not. I usually check them out, but Spurt was a good one. There was a lot of reason to consider Spurt as being a viable play, and it ended up being. It took a month, but what's a good strategy for rolling the options? I rolled by 165, but got ate up by IV. It depends on how you want to roll them. Like if you want just the same strike at the next date, like anytime you're rolling options, all you're doing is selling and buying, and so obviously if you can sell high, buy low, that's the ideal way to roll your options, right? But then you can choose to roll it to the same strike. If you do it this way, sometimes you can roll it to the next date at the same strike, or you can roll them up and out, which is generally if they're profitable already. You can roll them further out to a higher strike, thus increasing your leverage. So you could roll like an 827, like 165, up and out to like 205 C for 9-3, something like that. Based on this chart, do you think there are any liquidations or margin calls on Spurt? I think there might have been like a margin call. But it could have been FOMO. I don't know how much interest it was driving. Like, obviously, it's not my primary focused stock, but it seemed to be driving enough interest, right? So, a lot of it could have been FOMO. Some of it could have been the shorts covering. I think at its peak, the float was only, 60 times 15 million. So at its peak, it was like 900 billion or $900 million value. So not crazy, right? But pressure. But it traded a lot. What did it trade? Let's look at Spurt. Order flow. I mean, $2 billion traded on it, or $4 billion traded on it. Almost five. It looks like the net flow for Friday was positive, so more purchases than sales, but or at least no, it's not. Hold on. So we're sold. So they might have still shorted it. I guess you could check short volumes. You can check shortvolumes.com and see what the short interest was for yesterday and see how much like they covered. Yeah, I think John Deere might benefit from the infrastructure bill, but I kind of looked into that a bit more, big Dillionaire, and it looked like they weren't going to benefit as much as Cat. Cat has a much broader range of like government contracts, especially for like highway work and stuff. If we go out to the daily, how did this end up playing out? So this bounced. It looks like it's heading up. It may retest its new high. We'll have to see if the infrastructure bill gets passed, though, right? It's still waiting on that news, and I think it's getting kind of like locked up in Congress right now. You said during MOS you could use volume, VWAP, RSI at the peak. What would you be able to show an example of this through Spurt if Spurt squeezes more? Yeah, I mean, I could even show you an example of that on Spurt. Now, hold on. The only issue with RSI is that you're gonna be oversold a lot or overbought a lot. Sorry. So if we go and we pull up RSI and we look at like this is one of our pennants that we were looking at, right? So here was our dip for that pennant before it climbed to the upside. We could see that it hit about halfway and then started to come back up again. So you can use this relative strength of trend a little to kind of affirm the direction that you think these pennants are going to break out in. So you see as RSI here slumped and we started dipping off, it wasn't coming back up to oversold again. And in these scenarios, I guess you could like kind of consider giving a little extra range to your stop limit orders. But I mean, it's only just like a very weak indicator of what the stock's going to do, as it can shift really rapidly when that much volume is being pumped in. VWAP is good because it tells you if the stock is coming down, right? Thanks, Hartley. Please tag me, guys, if you can, so I can see your question a little better. My eyes are really blurry this morning. Thanks, Hartley. SoFi doesn't have stop orders, and limit orders are all or nothing. I started a transfer to Fidelity today after learning this. Okay, so you should have your shares in Fidelity. You started it today, like Saturday. You should have your shares in Fidelity probably by next Wednesday. Your cost basis might take a couple weeks, but your shares will be there probably by next Wednesday. In the upper right WeBull window there, which entry tells you their float is large or small? Free float. Free float is the number of shares available to be traded on the open market. Shares outstanding is generally the difference between the free float and insider ownership. So, like in the case of Spurt, insiders own, about 10 million shares, and then the free float is about 15 million. 15 million is a very small float, especially if the stock is seeing a lot of volume. It's considered a micro cap. Like a penny stock. Can Spurt squeeze more? Possibly. Will it? Yeah, hard to say. Depends on how much they've covered. You got to remember that, like, they could cover the entire company for a very small portion of their net proceeds. The idea is to lock up their capital, right? You put pressure on their. I think this is my theory is that if they could put pressure on their margin in these other places, when they have to. So you have to understand that we're in a cycle right now where short hedge funds have to buy into GameStop. Must buy GameStop right now. Right. And so if you can apply pressure to their net capital with all these other little squeezes, then you're effectively reducing their total net capital. So if GameStop at 350 is really putting a lot of pressure on them, now they're going to have that pressure on them with all this other shit going on. Effectively reducing, in a way, reducing the price GameStop has to reach to get the margin called. And we really only need one of them to get margin called, right? We don't need like Citadel or Susquehanna to get margin called. If it's like Melvin or a smaller player, that can be like the ignition, right? It can be the spark. Yeah, definitely very bullish for this coming week. Spurs have been talked about all over YouTube. Okay. I mean, I know for a fact, KO, that we were definitely ahead of that curve by like a month. Apparently, for some of us, like myself, we're a bit too far ahead of the curve. But then you have a chance that like all the volume you're seeing there is because it's A, cheap, and B, there's shitloads of retail FOMO, right? So like maybe it didn't actually squeeze yet. If the shorts are able to maintain their position, why would they cover, right? I think I answered that, age old. Let me know if you want to know more. Short calls holding downward pressure on the stock price. Uh not so much downward pressure, but they are a bearish bet. I guess yes, because the market maker is gonna like hedge it, right? But very, very little. Not as much as like a long call or a long put. There's another bill they want to move first. Okay. In for bill by 9/27 at the latest. Okay. So that's where you're looking for movement on like cat and everything. I have October 1st cat calls, but I will probably be rolling them forward based on the bill not being voted on until 9/27 because I'd want a few days for it to like grow. They're in the money right now, so I have an opportunity to move them forward. Trade Sprouting Brothers DMI custom indicator is great for monitoring the strength of trends and reversals. So is Stotch RSI. I hmm. Yeah, it's a trend reversal indicator. So is DMI, so is Stotch RSI. It's sort of a combination of those, similar to Super Trend. I checked it out a little. It's not my favorite. It's still like um you know a historical oscillator, so it doesn't tell you much more than other shit does. But if anybody's very literate in coding, you should check it out. Look at the code. There's some interesting things there. Yes, today. Yeah, so by Wednesday, JC. Probably. Some have been taking a little longer lately, but Wednesday should be good. SoFi, I think, transfers pretty quickly. Thanks, Average Monk. What price this will end? We will end this month at with GME, but what is your question? What is your opinion? I mean, we're gonna test 350, I think. What's gonna happen around that time, I'm not sure. It will be definitely an interesting moment. Ortex has shit data. They've always had shit data. Their data's still shit. That's it. No one knows how many shorts were covered yesterday. There's too much noise and no way to tell. So they're just making an estimate. It's not like Ortex has fucking inside information on people's short interest at all. No more than Fintel. In most cases, not even as accurate as Fintel. But reported short interest from Fintel on Spurt is over 100%, so it's very unlikely they covered it all. Bullish on GME? Yeah. Is that like a follow-up to your other question? Yeah, it could be good. It's good for GME, right? But it's hard to tell because something like so Citadel and Susquehanna are reporting net long positions on spurt, but I don't think they are. As this like naked short, like specifically this type of naked shorting that's going on a lot of these stocks, seems to be the play for Citadel and Susquehanna. 0.72 a little bit, in some cases Melvin, but this is like what they do, right? And so the fact that they have ownership stake at all, and the same type of shorting has occurred on spurt that has occurred on GameStop, even to a greater extent than it occurred on AMC, makes me highly suspect of the parties involved, or very suspicious at least. You know, it is interesting. You know who is long on GameStop? Goldman. Goldman Sachs long on GameStop. Goldman probably would not mind taking over Citadel's NYSE DMM duties. Goldman has a lot of influence as well. They're far, far fucking bigger than Citadel. $250 calls on Monday should print 2 week to expiry to be safer. Options are about 1 to 5% on my GME position. I mean, if we don't run in pre-market, there should be like an opportunity Monday to pick up calls for like the midweek or something. Just make sure that you're really, especially on GameStop, make sure that you're taking more risk adverse positions, as the stock is volatile and unpredictable, and you will expose less of your capital to loss if you're closer to the money with better further out strikes. Not that there isn't money to be made on weeklies, but it's far riskier. If you have money to risk, that's on you. Like, obviously a decision I can't hold your hand with, but based on your exit DD, 5% exit gives you 20 potential pennants. If stop is triggered as you get closer to the last few exits, we'd be more selective to sell or add more exits. I could add more. So it depends on the price action as we move forward, right? If we keep going up, I'm probably going to start actually selling some stock instead of just using like stop limits. Um, and if we start trending downward, I'll probably make my strategy a little more aggressive. Oh, that's something I wanted to note. I was doing a little bit of reading last night for some of you European guys who don't have limit orders and you're forced to use market orders. I think maybe one of your best bets might be to further make your exit even more conservative, right? So like really like 5% per exit. That way you have so many exits that you can follow the same curve without worrying about which way the pennants break. That gives you like 20 potential exits, which is solid. Or depending on the size of your position, you can change that around. It could be like 2% per exit, or you know, like 7 or 8. $350 price point you mentioned is based on your estimates of how much GameStop short hedge funds have to buy, or is it based on previous resistance? It's based on previous resistance. 350 is kind of another interesting spot on GameStop. We've tested it twice, but only on volatility. We've never pushed against it with any like significant volume. Well, we've tested it 4 times and broken through once, but you really can't look at this stock based off the action in January. It creates too much noise. But essentially, like, we're looking for a test of 300, which is very important. And then if we can push volume past that into the 350 range, we're sitting sitting pretty for some upside movement. Um, there's two things that happen there. First of all, FOMO drops off because the price is getting so high. And the short hedge funds can leverage the price down there because that volume drop off, which actually happens at 200 as well. So this range between 200 and 210 historically is very low volume. So the fact that we're stuck here doesn't surprise me. It's generally pretty hard for us to move out of this zone without like a decent push. And we got one of those pushes, but it got kind of hammered back down. I believe it was on Thursday. We pushed up to like 117. So that's some of what you're seeing, KO. Hold on, guys. I know I'm super far behind on chat, probably. There's a lot more people in here than we usually have. Actually, you know what? If I pull up TradingView, it's a lot easier to see that because my WeBull is like a mess right now. If we go, boop. So we did in fact get that double bottom bounce, which was cool. Our volume just kept dying off through the end of the week, so we ended up trading a little bit lower than I predicted because I didn't adjust for volume. I didn't drop the volume back down for Friday, or drop it down further. But I think if we traded the same amount of volume, we would have ended the week around. Like if we traded like 5 million yesterday, we probably would have ended around 225. But if we go out, why is this on the 1 hour? One day. If we go out and look here, we've definitely begun another bounce on the long-term trend for this inverse ascending triangle. Once we clear this resistance here on the long-term trend, I expect we can go up much faster, which looks like for Monday that's going to be around 220. But these are our previous tests of that 300 resistance. And then 350 actually really didn't break it with volume even in January. So breaking 350 on volume is very important. It also starts to carry us up into those really cheap options and that like upper out of the money gamma ramp that like Wall Street bets constantly builds up. I was like number 69. Witness me. Thanks for everything. Time, TA, patience, answering Discord messages. You're the man. Thanks, Yeti Eddie. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, if you guys ever have any like questions that you think you can't answer or you really don't know, you can always hit me up on the Discord and just ask. You know, I get around to them. I may not answer you right away, but I try to. What did I miss? You can just rewind it and play it at like 2x speed until you catch up, Johnny, if you want, but not much. I'm not stressed about a good amount of fidelity already. I plan on diamond handing for sure. Interesting. No, I was saying we were too early on Spirit KO. But yeah, it could have been FOMO. There's a good chance that there's still room left for it to run, right? Like, I mean, we expected, or at least I expected, like if you look at my like the Pickles picks over in the Dillionaire's Country Club, like I expected it to kind of continue this cycle all the way up into its earnings, right? Or into the merger meeting, which is a couple weeks still, right? So there's a very good chance that like it's far from dead. Like the shorts don't want to cover there either. Nothing changes about like how they want to handle that situation compared to GameStop. And the float's small enough that retail absolutely could drive the price up to $60. What are your thoughts when we test 350 again soon and then go back again? We start another cycle like the two before, or are they going to fail the third crash on the stock? It's hard to say what's going to happen when we test 350 again. From like a technical analysis perspective, we have a very good shot of breaking through this time, as the people that sold here and here are far less likely to still be in the stock here, right? So the people on this third test are probably like the paper hands got shaken out, right? This is the theory behind a cup and handle also, is that like you have 3 tests of an upper resistance. And on the third test, the people that were willing to sell at that upper resistance are gone, which means buy pressure at that resistance is higher. Oh, I'm at GameStop. It's me. Sorry. How would an investor determine if this week they should try to roll a call option to the following week? What are a few, if any, indicators that will provide clarity to sell a call Monday, Tuesday? Well, you can roll calls when the IV is low, or you can roll them when they're high. It depends on if you're in the money or not. If you're in the money, it kind of doesn't matter when you roll them, right? You can just roll them out, and you can roll them out and up if you want to, or just straight out. If you're out of the money, like if you roll them straight out, it's going to cost some amount of premium. You'll have to pay for the theta difference. If you roll them out and up, you could probably like increase leverage without extending any more capital. But if you're out of the money, you want to try to roll, you want to try to sell on an IV spike and then buy back in when the IV dips. So you want to sell high, buy low. You trade it just like you would a stock, right? You sell it at the peak, buy in at the dip. But with GameStop's volatility, there's a possibility that it could run hard right after you sell. It's hard to say. I do expect that this run is already starting to kind of shake out similarly to the previous one that we had, where we have that large Monday, Tuesday run up. Oh, fuck you, Epic Pen. Large Monday, Tuesday run up, followed by consolidation into the end of the week. Right? As we have seen previously. And there's a strategy to them doing that covers their asses a little bit. Thanks for going through the exit strategy on Spurt. I have some family members I got to buy 1 or 2. They will need my non-financial advice from us. Any tips on exiting X shares? Fucking sell 1 at a time. I mean, that's how you'll improve your cost basis the most. Oh, good. Yeah, learn about theta. Theta rules everything in life, not just options. And it's constantly decaying. Tajira got limit orders. Could be better to go there. Only thing is you can't get options. I'm not taking questions off Discord, but I could if you guys DM them to me, Rumple. But it's much easier to just, if you're already here, do it here. Maybe I should do that. That's a good idea, actually. Thank you for that. I'll next week I'll set up like a question thread where people can ask shit in case I run out of questions on here that I can refer to. Do you think a lot of people got out at break even or day traded this week to hurt the momentum? No, I think a lot of people had calls. I think a lot of those calls printed and they sold them, which reduced the upward pressure going into the end of the week, which, you know, is expected. It's one of the reasons it runs so hard in the early part of the week and not so much in the latter. How risky would it be to sell shares at $1,000 price point during the initial phases of my house to get capital to exercise an option? I have to increase my position. I mean, you can do it that way. You can like sell shares to exercise. So like I have like a 40 I have 40 C's that are in the money. If the price hits like $4,000, right? I can sell one share to exercise the contract. But the brokerage I have it at has cashless exercise. So I could just do that. So they sell the contract and buy me the shares, essentially. It was like 4,400 because you got to pay for the stock bit. I'm sure some more day trading occurred on GameStop, but again, GameStop's really expensive to day trade just shares on, right? Like to get any kind of leverage, you'd have to buy a lot, and buying a lot of shares of GameStop is, and the options are risky. And once the IV spiked, that was kind of it for trading the options to day trade it. So, no, I don't think too much day trading going on. I know I should have donated via Ko-Fi versus Super Chat. My bad. Yeah, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Thank you anyway. No, I feel like absolute shit. My eyes are all blurry, and like the palate and the back of my mouth is super sore. It's I'm having a shit day. Jimmy chart looks like there's a 90 pattern spikes around earnings. That's the run up we're seeing now, correct? Yeah, but it has nothing to do with earnings. Issue twist is spurt related to our friends starting to play options for the first time with only monthlies and what date we're at. It's forcing people to stay off weeklies. Worse theta. Yeah, yeah. Spurt only has monthlies, which is definitely more ideal for newer traders. I was thinking about the way up to 100,000. The more I ask myself, how many days with like 300% a day do we need to reach that level? We have days though like 1,500%. How will it play out? I mean, you have to remember that like that 300% growth in a day is based on the open or the close of the previous day, right? So, you know, if you close at 50,000 and you experience 300% growth the following day, the stock's at 150. Do a price prediction on the danger zone for margin calls happening? Well, we know that if they're colluding, their assets under management are like a couple trillion, close to a couple trillion. And we did the math on stream over the course of the week, but it was like, without factoring margin, I think it was like $3,900 around there, $3,998, something like that. And then if you take off their margin from that, it's like $1,000 a share, about a little less, would be just forced liquidation on all of the big players. I like when you speak to the psychology logic behind bullish bearish sentiment, behind the different patterns. Well, I mean, I guess I should do that more, because people do need to realize that TA is in fact based on the patterns form because of other reasons. They're not just triangles that you draw. There's a reason they form. I think that is lost on a lot of people, KO. Citadel's AUM increased from 35 to 244. No, that's not accurate. Wait, 35 million? They had 35 billion. Okay, yeah. There's hold on, user. They had $35 billion. Citadel, the hedge fund, had 35 billion in AUM. Citadel, the market maker, which is, I believe, Citadel Securities. I can't remember the names, but the Citadel market maker has like 400 and something billion assets under management. I mean, they're constantly raising capital, so it's hard to say. And some of that asset under management is, margin. That's I don't know if the price point has lowered, because I'm not sure how much their short GameStop position is affecting their actual net capital requirements. I just drank a shitload of Dayquil before the stream, DP. Birthdays are just theta decay parties. Wait, what do you mean we're not having a stream today? This is the stream today. What are you talking about, Agent Scarn? The thoughts on when you will release the secret DD? It's one of those things where I don't know if me releasing it changes anything. Like, I think it's ready. I think I have enough information. There's one last thing that I really want to prove before I publish it. So I will most likely wait on that, but I'm not sure if releasing it really changes anything. Could you recap what you expect to have a positive effect on the price for next week? We're gonna have like a lot of long side gamma exposure for the market makers come Monday, Tuesday, and so the gamma ramp's still there, so we should see some pretty crazy shit go down in the early part of next week. There's some other factors as well, but that'll probably be what kicks it off. I know all about warm honey and lemon. I hate it, but it does help. you look at the MAT options chain, or MAT 1 and MAT 2 options in October and January? Can you explain that? They probably had a split at some point, and the open interest on those isn't closed yet. Split or a reverse split. So look at each one and see if they're for different underlyings, so they have different strike prices. They may have so like one contract maybe for like 50 shares and the other maybe for 100 or something like that. So what you said about GME price movement this week, options that printed being sold slowing momentum. Do you think this is what happened with Spurt and that's why it slowed? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people took profits, pushed it down, but that doesn't mean it's over. I mean, the options a couple weeks ago on Spurt were so cheap, people were buying them out in like January and shit. So, and as long as the options chain remains much larger than the free float, I think we could see repeated action on that stock coming up. There was discussion last week of odd lot sales being batched into 100. Is there an advantage to setting a limit of an even lot for 100 in terms of setting the price or anything? Reduced slippage. So if you sell in share blocks of 100, it's very likely that you won't get like PFOF'd or grouped, and so your order will just print to the time and sales immediately. Like you'll print to the next tick usually. That's one of the reasons, like one of the valid reasons that they have for PFOF. Is that they have to put retail orders somewhere until they can group them into blocks before they sell them. Your DD is actually just more confirmation bias. It is, and it isn't. I mean, I don't really write confirmation bias DDs. Except like maybe like the dailies would get people like hyped up, but to it, I want wrinkles. So really a short hedge fund could possibly wiggle out of this situation? It's very unlikely. I don't think so. But I think there may be they need to be trapped a little more or a little harder. Like if this next test of 350 fails and we move into another like long downtrend, I think that it needs to be at a higher floor. Like we can't drop down to like 150 again. It's not enough like positive pressure. Like if it fails, I would expect us to stay above 225 for the next run up to be successful in causing MOAS. I threw some money at BBIG yesterday because I saw it mentioned on your stream at like 60 in my account, but it's been going up. Any thoughts? It's got some short interest. I don't think it's going to run as hard as Spurt did. I don't think it has as much short interest. You know, I wouldn't expect it to like go to the moon or anything like that. So I'd watch the position, make what you can off of it, and get out, right? Yeah, I'm not releasing it in 2 parts. I'm not Amish. Can you talk about the implications of your DD in a general sense? No. No, I can't weigh in on that at this time. No more than I have. Chicken tender daddy. If Ortex is not reliable, what website can provide similar info as Ortex? None. That's why Ortex isn't reliable. You can pay for that data from the exchanges, but you know you have to dig through it yourself, and even that will have information obscured, and you're talking shitloads of money. Financial data is very, very expensive, and if it's cheap, it's garbage. Every exchange profits off of their data set, and so and the competition for that data is fierce, and the money to pay for it is definitely there. So yeah, if someone's offering you like focused financial data for like $20 a month, it's bullshit. Fintel is okay, but as we know in the past, they've been inaccurate on stocks like GameStop and AMC. I used to have. Sorry, hold on, guys. I used to have Ortex a long time ago, and it was just always inaccurate. It always had issues. I would find like multiple cases of data being different elsewhere when I was researching things, and I had Ortex, and so I stopped using it. And I ran through a trial of it not that long ago after this all started, like back in March, and it was still super fucking inaccurate. So yeah, I don't support the use of Ortex, but I mean, you guys could use it if you want to. I guess it gives you like an overview of the data, but just know that the data can be pretty inaccurate. I'm not sure, Elliot Moas. I haven't read the book in forever. I haven't read it for like 6 years. 6 years? Yeah, about 6 years now. Entries and exits are important. Timing, like tracking volatility and following trends are important. I know he covers that. But yeah, it's not really a book designed to help you trade MOAS. It's just a book to give you a grounding in technical analysis before you could use that to expand on ideas that you're more interested in. Right? So it's just like a good introduction, like intro to day trading 101 or 100. So not the actual class, but like the bullshit one that you can take to get a credit. But it's solid, and it was written at a time when education about the financial markets is more important than making money in them. Um, if it was 2021, that book never would have been written because the information on it would be the information in it would be more valuable to the writer than the sales proceeds from the book, right? Without a new share offering, it's very unlikely to see 150. It's impossible, Ryan. It's not unlikely. If they don't release shares, it is impossible for it to drop that low again. There's no upcoming ETF rebalances, nothing, just moving into the fall. The only thing that could bring the price that low would be a market crash. Do you imagine if it will be difficult to sell at insane prices, even on platforms like Fidelity? Yeah, it'll be hard. You know, you may have to take multiple attempts to sell. It depends. Once it gets high enough, there'll be far less participants, and it'll be much easier. But during the FOMO stages and the run up, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be very hard to access your brokerages. Movie theater boys love their Ortex data. Yeah, because it's just like confirmation bias for them, I guess. But I don't think their reported short interest on AMC is all that fucking high. Yeah, it's a very solid book and a good grounding, Elliot. It's not that long. I mean, you can probably read it in like a day. Understand it might take a little more diving in, but yeah, technical analysis of the financial markets by John J. Murphy. Is it Murphy? Murray? I can never remember his fucking last name. John J. Murphy. Is there one you would recommend on options? There is, but I can't remember the fucking name of it. It's like a really short book. It's like 60 pages, but it covers like everything you need to know about options contracts, Black-Scholes modeling. It's pretty solid, but I have to go back and like, I have to like dig through my shit that I have right now and like try to find, you know, like I had like book lists back then and notes and like all kinds of like probably would be useful educational material for now. I just don't know where any of it is. This is not somewhere I saw myself, right? 3 months ago. And even when I started doing this, I just assumed I'd be writing like a daily post on Reddit about, the stocks movements and what was going on with it. I didn't really think I'd be getting into like the DD side of it. And like, it just infuriates me that the information is so fucking bad sometimes. And that's why I've written most of the DDs that I have or delved into the topics that I have is just because like the misunderstanding of them and just makes me mad. I'm still waiting for my double pigeon whale status catalyst. Fucking crazy, dude. We'll see. Maybe Monday. Maybe Monday I'll draw you a nice double pigeon whale. Technical and you got it. How's the newsletter to your friends going these days? Great. I think one of them blocked me from their email. Just fine. What would stop us from crossing 350? People selling. I mean, that's what's happened to these other 350s. I mean, this was GameStop and people selling. People locked at these high price ranges above 300 are like psychologically highly likely to be paper handed when the price reaches their level again, like their cost basis. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them. When you've been negative for months and you have like 5 minutes green, there's an incentive to sell there. But in reality, I think this was going to come down anyway. And I think GameStop had an idea of that and they sold into that. But that could affect how high this run goes, possibly. Because we had 7 million shares released into the market during this period. From the ETF rebalances and GameStop share offering. A little more than 7 million. but we still actually bounced higher than we did in back here. So we still bounced at a higher resistance, even if just slightly, with, you know, double the amount. This was 3.5 million shares. This was 7 million shares, right? And we still bounced slightly higher. So if they did release shares at earnings and it was like sub 5 million shares, I wouldn't be concerned at all. Zach Black, thank you so much for becoming a Dillionaire, man. I appreciate that. Hit me up in the Dillionaires, or in the Discord, and I'll get you added to the Dillionaires Country Club. Thanks for the support, dude. Jingleheimer Schmidt. Q-Swing, you'd use the first wick to determine volatility. And when you would set your limit. So if we go to Spurt, I mean, I did videos on this. Actually, you know what? No, there's an entire video on this to Old Guy. I think that's going to explain it much better than I can right now. But if you're just like asking about like the placement, it's usually pretty obvious when a pennant forms. Like we have a good one here. So, you know, you'll have your volatility comes down to here, right? All right, let me get rid of this. And then you want to set your limit below that, right? So you set your sell limit below, and then, or your stop and your limit further below that. And that way, if this fails and the price drops off, as it ultimately does over here, you will fill when that stop is hit to the upside, right? So you generally use just the highest volatility wick, but this is when buy pressure and sell pressure are the most equal, and so it tends to be that the volatility on that wick is the highest it will be throughout that period of consolidation, because volume decreases as you move towards the end of the pennant. What do you think about a paper trading competition? Winner gets a VWAP hat? I don't know. That sounds like a lot of shit I don't have time to do. Maybe one day when the GameStop thing is over, if I'm still doing this. As morbid as it might seem, would setting an extremely high limit sell until canceled be A-okay in case you were taken out of the game? Netting a fortune if you were unable to execute. I mean, you could, yeah. Like it's like a fail-safe kind of order. The problem is you can't place. Usually, you can't have multiple orders on the same underlying. So if you do that, you just can't place orders while it's in place. I think some brokerages have conditional sales that you can set. So you'd be like, sell all my shares if the price hits 15 million or something. Let me read your secret DD. I'll sign an NDA. They're unenforceable, Dr. K. Yeah, I mean, it's always net short. Caress my pickle. It's always been net short. It will continue to be net short. My point is they were assisted in driving the price down by 7.5 million sales, right? Of actual shares. So that helped them bring the price down to almost like, otherwise without those 75.5 million shares being sold, I don't think the price, especially with how fast GameStop sold them initially, I don't think the price ever would have gotten to the levels that it ultimately hit before we bounced. We would have bounced much, much higher. Like, remember back when we were tracking like the cup and handle? So if we go back to like where we were tracking the cup and handle on GameStop, for those of you that were here and remember this, the cup and handle was back here, right? That's more likely the price action we would have followed had those additional shares not been sold. So this is an effect of price suppression, which is continuous on the stock. And that's what we see reported every day with the net short carryover. It's also an effect of the ETF rebalances. And through this period, after from here, after 005 was enacted, this is also in the money put pressure. So without the ETF rebalancing and the shares sold, half of the pressure on the stock would have been relieved, right? And so it would have been much more likely for us to test on this like BBKC breakout, and possibly, you know, take off. What do you think if we fail 350 and drop to 150 again? I don't think we can. Unless there's a massive share offering from GameStop, I don't think it's possible for us to go back down to 150. Sort of similar in the way that like AMC hasn't released any more shares since it hit $70. And they've kind of stagnated at like $40. If we hadn't released shares, we would be at like, we would have started this run up at like 200, much higher. After most, make your stream a public stock and we can all own part of your company. Interesting. Maybe I'll just start a hedge fund. And we can use our fat MOAS tendies to just take down predatory hedge funds. Used to listen to music while mowing the lawn. Now listen to you. Thank you, Autumn Jance. Any thoughts on hedges not being able to end the week under 200, leaving all those options in the money? It's going to be an interesting Monday and Tuesday, Duke. A very interesting Monday and Tuesday, I think. Maybe all the way through Wednesday if there's enough pressure. I bought a bunch at 331 in January and never thought about selling. And but that's, you know, that's each person, right? Like, that's you. You haven't, but other people definitely have. There's some evidence. I mean, people with the money have averaged down. I think the people most at risk at selling at 350 are people who invested more than they could afford in the first place. And you know, when they finally do get picked up, they paper hand. Some people are definitely more committed to this than others, right? But again, it doesn't matter who sells, right? Someone else will be buying at that price, so ultimately irrelevant. What do the blue and green channels represent on this chart? Are you talking about the vertical ones, Colden? That's BBKC. It's just the BBKC signal. It just makes it more obvious instead of having to zoom in on the Bollinger Bands and Keltners. So you mentioned while reviewing exit points for Spirit, it's more of an advanced move to readjust your exit positions midway if it goes up and runs again. When is a good idea? When is a good way to notice this? Well, the higher it goes, the more conservative you can get, right? If it starts to drop off, you want to maybe be a little more aggressive. It's kind of just like fine tuning what remains of your position, right, for the price action. So if it continues to go up, like maybe be a little more conservative with your exits as it rises. If it starts going down and continues to go down, maybe be a little more aggressive, because ultimately at the end of it, when GameStop reaches parity at 0% short interest, it will go straight fucking down. And it will be hard to sell because there's no buyers, right? That means that the institutional buyers that had to cover short interest are gone, and no one else in the world is going to buy the stock at like 10 mil a share. But there will be, an indicator that we're approaching that point. It will start to drip, like on a shorter time scale. It will start to slowly decline before it falls off. Because as the DTCC or whoever's in charge of the buying at that point reaches like the first like 98 to 50 is very likely to go up, and then from 50% short interest down to like 10% short interest, it's likely to go down. Around 10%, it's likely to fall off pretty hard. I played jungle, but I mostly played mid lane when I played League. I played top for a little while when it was fun. I played ADC. Become the Batman of hedge funds. Oh, thanks, Max. I appreciate that. Small dip on Monday would probably be the lowest price of the week. It's possible, yeah. Curtis. All the Peloton treadmills are falling apart. Bullish. Didn't they just recall all their fucking treadmills not that long ago? They don't even realize they are pointing out that they paper handed at some point. Yeah, but we don't need to talk about it, right? A lot of people have paper handed at some point, either by accident or intentionally. I'm sure, right? Because I remember like my days of paper trading and not knowing what the fuck was going on in the market and like buying in and out and in and out and in and out of positions. I know nobody has to admit it, but I know a lot of people have. No problem, Swag. Later, JC. How can you check short interest while it's squeezing that high? You can't. The only indicator you'll have is the technical, like the price movement on the charts. There's no reported shorts. You have to understand that shorts are not reported anywhere. They're reported every 15 days in an amount that they decide to report. They do not reveal their positions because they would become squeezed very, very hard if they did. Anytime a short like reveals their hand, they get squeezed. All right, sold my fractionals. But the price action will tell you how much short interest is left, how much they have left to cover. Will the DTCC be looking at our stop limits and hunting for them during manual trading? Probably. It's a possibility. I don't know. I don't know how much like they can't short, right? No one's going to lend them a short. So they might, you know, try to snag them on a big sale. Like if someone makes a big sale and you get like a volatile downward candle. But that's why you have so many exits, you don't care, right? And let's be really frank here. If we're trading at $10 million a share, it's impossible for you to lose money, right? Like you'll still be rich whether you sell, you know, a little under average or a little over. You're still going to be filthy fucking rich at the end of it because it's not going to go from like 9 million to 100,000, right? It's going to trade at like 10 million and then, you know, a 10% dip, which is a halt, brings you down, you know, to $9 million, which is still a fucking insane price for your GameStop share. I don't think I have COVID. I think I have like maybe like a sinus infection. That's what it feels like. 'Cause I'm getting like headaches and shit, but no respiratory issues. Yeah, no problem, Smocks. Well caught up now. Quick question on Spur. Thoughts on T+2 hedging from Friday's option chain going into next week's? Seems really familiar, just like GMB in January. Yeah, I think it'll run. There's a good chance it'll run Monday. I'm still not going to get in on it. I can't get my channels to show vertically like that. They show in the green and red channels that go horizontally, not the blue, green vertical channels. I don't know what you're talking about. For what? That's the blue and yellow like background here. These. This is BB. It's a BBKC indicator. I think it's by Lazy Bear. It's not actually the most accurate. Like this was all squeeze period, but it didn't register it because it's like its confines are too tight. So sometimes you still have to like zoom in and actually look at the Bollinger Bands and the Keltner channel. See how they were still inside here, but like it wasn't registering it as a squeeze. So like this will throw false signals, but it makes it easier to look at mostly. And since I have to like present my data, I try to make it more visibly appealing. But otherwise, I probably wouldn't even use this. I would just look at the Bollinger Band and Keltner channel visually. I judge no one for what they do with their money. I'm talking about people think it's Robin Hood's conspiracy with diamond hand emojis and rockets. Yeah, well, you know, you can't fix stupid and you can't fix crazy. So why bother? I have found through experience that even if I tell those people the exact reason, they don't buy it. So well, you set your second pennant sell later than mine. I'm not sure where you set yours. The old guy. Maybe DM me your chart and show me, and I can explain it to you. That'd probably be a better way of doing it. Just DM me over on the Discord. What the fuck is quercetin? I'm vaccinated. Good. Take some weird drug. Are you carrying a share of Spurt over the weekend? I am. I wanted to see if I could sell it at the peak when it runs again. But I already made my money there, right? I had like a shitload of Spurt contracts back when it ran up to like $12. And I had like $7 contracts. Like I didn't make as much as I could have, but I made plenty. I'm not really interested in chasing the gains. And now with the IV high, it's like there's really no point. After you've hit a trigger and had your order fill, where do you put the next limit if you can't see the next pennant? Would you put it at a lower support level while you wait? Yeah. Yeah, I would put it like you always kind of want an order in place, but you want it like out of the risk zone until you have a confirmed trend to follow, Kitty Bear. So you want to set it like much lower, like maybe below a halt. And that way you can just like follow the trend visually until you see, you know, another consolidation period begin. Does it make sense to watch volume once liquidation starts to take a conservative guess on SI percent, say 300 million shares need to be bought back? No, because you have no idea how many shares need to be bought back, right? That could lead to you selling far earlier than intended. The only thing you really want to watch volume for is consolidation. So you want to watch volume to determine the end of the run up when volume drops below, you know, the massive amounts of volume it was reaching during forced liquidation to indicate like a period of consolidation or a plateau. But yeah, you definitely don't want to try to use volume to try to determine the amount of SI left. People are brokers like 1 to 2 hours their orders fill or get dumped back in January. Any advice how to trade when you need to deal with such a long delay after setting orders? I mean, this isn't going to be January. So like there's a good chance GameStop takes off long before that much FOMO can even come in. And when you're trading the peaks at this point, there's not gonna be that many people left. So I'd imagine order flow will get easier, especially if they switch to manual trading in the peaks. But you can some brokers allow you to set conditional orders. And that's really the only advice I can give besides wait. It will calm down. Just like Spurt yesterday, you know, it got very static across that upper range. You know, you had a few hours to trade that. Thanks, hand. That's still funny, even more so when you can't fix it. Yeah, I'm gonna exercise all the options I'm exercising under 10,000. That's my plan for exercising them because I figure that'll give me probably enough time for the shares to be returned to my account. Can you guys give me one quick second? I'm so sorry. I gotta grab something real fast. Sorry, guys. I just had to blow my nose real fast. I grabbed 4 spurt to practice and exit on Monday. Cool. It's a flavonoid that helps with the zinc ion transport. Interesting. Are there any studies on the effectiveness of zinc versus coronavirus? I know vitamin D, they kind of did one research paper on, but it was sort of inconclusive and like a small like test group. I don't think I have COVID. Again, I'll reiterate that. I don't have any of the common symptoms. I could be wrong, but don't you have to call in share sales through your phone for most brokers over 500,000? Wouldn't this make it hard to put in orders and cancel them if need be? Vanguard only requires that you do that for large blocks over 500,000. Fidelity, I don't think has any such requirement. You can, if you get a broker on the phone, you can tell him what fucking order to place and where you want it placed and when to cancel it and when to renew it. Like, if you guys get a broker on the phone, don't let that fucker go. You keep him on the phone. He'll get his commissions. I'm so paranoid I won't be able to get through to my broker. Everyone's so worried about, like, I will tell you guys, like, the exit strategy is solid, right? And it's a good way to sell the peaks and maximize your potential profits. But remember that, like, even if you fuck up, right? Like, first of all, calm the fuck down, because even if you fuck it all up, you'll still make a shitload of money, right? Like, if, say this is the $10 million resistance, right? And you're chopping around here. Like, at any point you sell in this range, it doesn't fucking matter. You're going to make a ton of money, right? It's not going to just, like, go like that on one tick, you know? It will stabilize. So, yeah, like, maximize your potential profits and everything, but don't freak the fuck out about it. I understand some of you have fewer shares than others, and for you that incremental difference matters, and that's a large part of what the exit strategy is for. I would call Fidelity, Renzor, and if you can, let me know what they say about their. It's either T+1 or T. I mean, they have T+2 to locate technically, but they could have it settled in T+1 depending on availability or how fast they can find shares for you. You guys think I'll be good with Robinhood and Webull? I mean, I'll be honest. I know that, like, it's not popular as far as Reddit goes, but I had options in Webull in January, and they were fine. You know, I lost connection for about 30 minutes, and then, like, 30 minutes after market open, I couldn't really do anything. Like, it was, like, locked up. But then after that, I was able to sell, no problem. Robinhood, without a doubt, colluded to stop selling. I know some of it was Apex's fault, but I think ultimately it was Robinhood that was to blame there. Spirit had a high of 57 and currently at 26, so 50% drop. If Monday they run to new highs, do you think GME peak phase can have those levels of price variation? or no after liquidation phase. Not after it liquidates. During FOMO, yes. So we may go up and test like 560 and come back down to like 300 and then go back up to 680 and then, you know, come back down to 480 and then bounce back up to like 1,000. Like the sorry. During that FOMO phase, there could be really, really high volatility. As you know, paper hands get in and paper hands get out. Institutions sell at cost basis that are, you know, beneficial to them. But that all happens before the real squeeze kicks off. That's the hardest part to diamond hand through, right? That's the scariest part because every time it comes down, you don't know if it's coming back up. And I think that's where the most paper hands will get shook out, honestly. I think once it starts to hit like 5, 10, 15, 20,000, then a lot of people that are the people that are still in are going to just ride it, right? As they see it continuously going up. My dad made some money on Spirit once back in on Monday. I mean, typical. Everyone always wants to do that. When you do that, you should only ever use your profits to go back in. Like don't play your money anymore, right? Just play house money at that point. That way you're not carrying any like risk in the position, sort of. After forced liquidation of Gmail, do you think it will be near its peak, or do you think it could act like Spurt yesterday and keep going up considerably? It may keep going up. It'll be hard to. I mean, we won't know. Like this is still an unprecedented event, right? Thanks, Renzer. Philly is like study the glass. The study guide you can if you want to. Who's coughing now? I mean, I don't know. I never bought it, but I guess it could help. I don't know. I feel like no. I feel like you guys could get more practice paper trading than and you know trying to use the knowledge from the book than you'll get from the study guide. I don't think the study guide's like beneficial. The book's a little old on that front. Like as far it's more to learn the theory than the practice. Don't feel bad. I'm fine. I'll be better. If you're right, this run up goes to plan. How long do you think it takes to get from 350 the margin call somewhere number after 1K? Hard to say. It depends on how hard we break out, how much we gap up. There's no way to determine any of these things. We know the bid ask spread is wide, so our chances of gapping up are far higher. But that's about all we got. Will there be any hedge fund that will be willing to short GME at say millions per share, knowing they can buy it back after MOAS? Or is that too much risk if it runs to multi-millions a share? Hmm. No. No one's gonna so Max, no one's gonna lend them shares at those prices. No lender in the world is gonna lend out a short sale at fucking $1 million. The volatility and the risk are way too high, especially if the stock turned around and kept going up. Fuck. And no one would borrow them, right? It's just stupid to short heavily at that kind of volatility. Also, most of the short hedge funds will be most likely blown up by then. 4x my spurt 15C could have held for 6x, but glad I got out before it dropped to 26. Awesome. I mean, profits are profits, man. Don't worry about money left on the table. How do you feel about firms that have FA, CPA, and tax lawyers all on staff? Like an all-inclusive firm, I'd avoid them. I would have each. Don't trust people. First of all, that's the biggest thing I could tell you with like registered fiduciaries is don't trust them. Make sure you have one guy watching the other guy, you know, for malfeasance. If you have enough money, there's a lot of greedy people in the world that will attempt to take advantage of your money. So now I would have a separate law firm, a separate accounting firm, a separate financial advisor, separate wealth management, and I would probably have multiples of each of those in order to ensure that nobody is, because you know, if somebody does something illegal with your money or is embezzling your money, then one of your other fiduciaries will pick up on that and be like, what the fuck's going on here? You know, that's why you don't have one guy. Having one guy is a mistake. Literally just called Fidelity to access PM after hours trading. Took less than a minute. It's all automated for those of you with phone call anxiety. Yeah, how's that a thing? I've never understood that. I know it's like it's like the generation right under me, but like phone call anxiety is like a serious thing. Huh. I guess it's just like an extension of social anxiety. Thanks, YMA. I don't actually think it included COVID. Yeah, I've read that. I know zinc is beneficial if you're taking it in advance for like the cold, which is another type of coronavirus, I believe. Like the common cold. Do not buy large exotic cats, just don't. I'm gonna buy small exotic cats. Anxiety about calling to exercise that during minutes, I'm sure that they're going to be swamped with calls and getting through might be hard if possible. You'd be surprised. Only 12% of calls are going to get exercised. You think it'd be more, but it probably won't be. Most people will sell them. I think you guys really underestimate how paper handed people are going to be. People are going to be super fucking paper handed. They can talk the talk, but they won't walk the walk. I know it for a fact. I have incoming phone call anxiety, not outgoing. And the only anxiety I get from incoming phone calls is I just assume it's going to be about my car warranty. Because otherwise, why the fuck would anyone call me? First post last meal. Maybe I'll head over to Per Se. Buy out the chef's table for a night. We'll see. I bet many fools will time it and trade it and then miss the racket. There'll also be day traders that just get in that morning and never get out. If anybody's equipped to follow a trend like that, it's day traders. Like, they're not going to panic on a 20% dip, right? So whoever day trades GameStop that morning will probably be very, very well rewarded. Thanks, A user. I appreciate that, man. Uh, I know your question earlier was a little. I don't think I really got it. So if you want to DM me on the Discord with it, I'll try to explain it a little better. Thanks, Luna. I'm gonna go a little longer because I took that break and we had like a few. So I'm gonna go till like 2:40. There was like a few minutes of dead zone there. Do you have a chicken noodle soup recipe in 6? There's like a super good Jewish delicatessen not far from me. I just like I order chicken noodle soup from them because they make it with like the what's it called? The like chicken fat jelly. It's delicious. Malts or something. They also have fucking awesome matzo ball soup. The education review of previous similar events will help with how much apes will hold, but I agree. I have friends that are already paper handing mentally now. Yeah. I don't think, and you also have to remember, a lot of people are really happy with, $20 million. Like, they'll fucking walk away, no problem. There's also just this overwhelming pressure of wanting it to be over, right? And that's gonna take its toll on people as well. This dragging it out for this period of time is very advantageous to the short hedge funds. Do you have a go-to chicken noodle soup recipe and say, nah, I think I went over that. Thanks, Crizzles. Extra stays are classy, Greg. Thanks, Max. I appreciate that, dude. When are you gonna press live and actually start the stream? Don't say that. I started the stream. Stress me out. This is cool. This is like the most people we've ever had in the members only stream. Welcome to all of you guys that are new members, if this is your first one. And remember that like the previous ones can always be viewed in the unlocked videos or on the community tab for the like last week's. You can check those out also. There's a lot of stuff that gets covered in them. With the Amazon partnership, realizing some Amazon gains. Possibly. I'll look into it, Guerrillionaire. If you want to DM me and remind me, I'll check it out this week when I'm going over like my weekly picks and stuff. I actually reached out when they started GME Jungle and asked them to lock it on the weekends. I talked to what's her name over there? I can't remember. And asked her to like lock this. I told her to lock this up on the weekends. It would stop all the drama and bullshit. But They didn't, and it ended up like the even more conspiratorially minded ended up over there. That place is a super shit show now. Awesome, hand. Thanks, Sir David. Also want to say thanks for giving me confidence to trade Jimmy by myself. You're welcome, Lugs. I mean, I just want everyone to do the best they can during the squeeze. I don't want to be in the Netflix fucking documentary. I don't care. This is the thing they use every weekend against us, and it's just so fatiguing. I just ignore it. I'll usually go through like the top 10 DDs for the weekend and the bottom 10 and see if there's any useful information. If there's not, that's it. That's like all the super stonk I do anymore. I've got my hands full with everything with the Discord and like the things I do. And I'm just going to keep doing the shit I do until this is over. Just kind of stay out of all their nonsense as much as I can. I do get pretty angry with certain shit, like widespread misinformation, but only because I have to deal with the backlash of it, right? Becoming a pigeon whale was one of the best decisions of my life so far. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. For all you guys that have become pigeon whales, thank you so much. And Dillionaires, it's a huge help for me to keep this going. And I mean, in a few months, I'd actually almost be at like parity, I think, if like the growth continued. There's always only Dan's after Boaz. Yeah, I don't care about Renzel or Hey Pixel or any of those people. I mean, I only had a few interactions with Renzel and he seemed fine. I didn't have a problem with him. I don't care about any of the fucking moderators over there or their drama or their bullshit. Um, Altogether, you know, they have less knowledge of the financial markets than a receptionist at Citadel. So, you know, I just kind of take things with a grain of salt. What's more fun for you to do, streaming or day trading as a job? I mean, day trading requires significantly less of my free time, but streaming's more fun, I would say. Doing both is cool. I like it when other people make money too. It's cool in like the way that like a great chef wants to see like diners enjoy his food, right? In the same way that like I like to see uh you know people going on trades and make money that they otherwise wouldn't have had. I guess is like a comparison. Hoping to have a new video for Monday. It cost me the price of one GME share, so it better be worth it. I'm excited. Thanks, Alethea. Is it possible to get a higher ranking membership than Pigeon Whale? That's YouTube's cap. But if you want to go check out the Ko-Fi, there is one higher level. Eric D. Oh, awesome, a user. I hope you used my referral link. No, I don't give a shit. I'll just end up with more shares of fucking OPK. My dad used your Sprint video to make his gains because he had no idea what he was doing during Friday action. Awesome. Well, he's up, right? That's super cool, man. Kirk fucked with me and questioned my status. Now I feel I have to defend my honor on the daily. Supreme Pontiff after Moas. That is the next level. But I think like if any money goes into there, I'll probably just like donate it to like charity or something. Like if anybody's fucking crazy enough to do that after Moas, I'll like find some way to use that to like help people. I won't need the money. I tell you that much. I just wanted to open up housing for like single moms. So we'll see. Maybe I'll buy like an apartment building. What charities do you like? None. I would just do it myself. I don't trust other people to fucking handle my money. I thought so. What about single dads? You're just trying to get in the housing with all the single moms, Agent Skarn. I know what you're up to. By the way, you said you'd make a poll for us to see the members of each category, right? Oh, I forgot to do that. Maybe I could set something up on the Discord. So Pi wants to create a charity for single MILFs and he can still be the landlord. No, it'd be free. It's not like that. Fuck you. Who's coughing now? I might be Italian, but I'm not Cuomo. Just make sure you pay the electricity bill. All right, guys. I'm going to shut this down and go be sick for the rest of the weekend. Thank you all so much. I appreciate the support from all of you guys. It's a huge help to the channel. And I will have the exit DD out, or not the exit DD, but the weekly DD out sometime, hopefully early tomorrow. I might not be around a lot today, but if you need anything, just DM me on the Discord. And I appreciate it so much, guys. You all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you bright and early on Monday morning.